it really? Everything's turning up Millhouse. I love that he's wearing his elite. Yeah, look at that. I see that everywhere. Actually, it's too sweet. Too sweet. We are at Louis' Lunch here in New Haven, Connecticut. We're here because I dragged these two poor comic creator gentlemen who are joining me this weekend at IC3 at SCSU here in Connecticut to come here for a burger. But not just any burger. This is allegedly the very first burger in the country. So here we are at Louis' Lunch. Let's go check it out, guys. No pets, please. I gotta stay outside.
That documentary that Fred Jamison does. Remember, there's like a restaurant guy that only sells like one item. And it's right around. They're looking for me.
It's very simple menu. It's very simple menu. Oh, that's good. That's
my instinct says that if you're right about that, you're good.
Right.
But I'm going over
A lot better than I actually expected. Rarer than I normally order, but palatable still.
Yep.
Which was interesting.
It was so rare that the juice looked like ketchup.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to order ketchup here. It's actually forbidden. You know what? It actually kind of the rareness of it. The rareness of it reminded me of a North Shore roast beef sandwich.
That's actually a good call.
Right? Yeah. The blood.
There was something
the
about
bread.
the consistency.
Yeah. And it wasn't like it was dense. It was just like.
No.
Oh, it was good. It was good. It was very basic.
There's not much
but it was
here
good.
for a vegetarian.
Yeah. Vegetarian. Sorry.
Stay home on the menu is just cheeseburger or hamburger.
Did you snap a photo of the menu? Because it's so super simple. There's not a lot to pick from, but it's all very satisfying and good. Like, it's delicious. And we had other comic creators in here that we chatted with. So
that was great.
Yeah.
Great tableside chats.
So that's our review.
We're
of
going to
Louis'
continue
Lunch.
at the drink and draw.
Yeah, we're going to keep going to the drink and draw. But make sure you follow George O'Connor on Blue Sky and on Twitter.
Thank you.
Yes. I dragged these four.
You asked for it, so we delivered. The Mighty Mascots is now in demand on Indiegogo. Get your mascots today.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death and the Pond. For who, Johnny?
My good cousin, Roger Morocco.
Absolutely.
And just a notice so I don't get sued later, I technically didn't create Sartana the character, create Sartana the comic book.
Yes, I should probably start saying that when I do.
Yeah, just to be safe. Just
Co-creator of Sartana or something.
The comic book. Sartana the comic book.
There we go. I'll say that. And Harry
It's on
G,
record.
graphic artist extraordinaire. What's going on, gents?
I think that burger almost bit me, actually. it was still breathing.
Harry, you got a
see
glow
how,
about you
how
like a
pink it
certain
was?
aura.
Yeah.
What was that?
You have a glow about you like a certain aura.
I'm very
shining. Yeah.
Screen's very bright here. I should wear shades.
You're just angelic, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, or something.
Oh my God. It definitely feels like a long time since our last broadcast for sure.
For sure.
I don't know why. It feels like it's been months. You know, I can't explain it. I know me and Johnny have had a crazy friggin' week since like last Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, both me and Johnny went to AEW both nights in Boston, which was Wednesday and Thursday. They had back-to-back shows, and Johnny had tickets for both. And his father couldn't go, so I stepped in, and I thank Johnny so much for inviting me to these fucking great shows.
Thank you for taking the tickets, because normally I go with my dad. It's kind of a me and him thing. Wednesday nights are me and him watching Dynamite. So it was kind of going to be a familial thing, something I could have memories with, for the future. But he just fell ill. He was in the hospital, so I couldn't take him. So luckily, two of my very best friends, Brian Lafferty, who got me into pro wrestling again, and then Keith Gleason, who I infected with pro wrestling fandom. So it was kind of full circle. I was the person who got me back into pro wrestling, and person who I pushed into fandom. We were all together watching AEW. It was a real
I'm like your protege now.
It was a big wrestling weekend.
Plus WrestleMania happened, which I don't follow, but I did hear about John Cena winning, I think.
I got into a fight with Tony James about it this morning on Twitter.
Oh, did you? Why, is he a big WWE guy? Or?
He's a WWE guy, and I tweeted very plainly that the best wressling match this week happened in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, I mean,
against Will Ospreay and Takeshita.
Yeah.
And that match ranked at a 9.66.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, certainly what,
out of
even
10?
Amy was watching at home and texted me and said, holy shit, that Will Ospreay fight. And it was insane.
Now, last night was WrestleMania Night 2, the biggest of the two nights, with the actual Universal Championship. So the belt that Cody Rhodes, who came from AEW, won a year ago and defended against Massachusetts' own John Cena, who I'd like to say his father was front row
at AEW.
Dynamite. At Dynamite, the father of the WWE Universal Champion was front row at Dynamite on Wednesday night. So no slight on his son. I'm proud of him for being the Universal Champion and being from Massachusetts. But WrestleMania Night 2 got a 5.71.
Wow. Holy shit. So
I
is
tweeted
10
about
the best
that.
You could be?
What's that?
Is 10 the ultimate best match
on
you've
that
ever seen?
scale? 10 is the best one. Yeah.
And what was the Will Ospreay? 9.7.
9.7.
I gotta that. I've only been watching AEW for about a year or so. That'd be one of the best matches I've ever seen.
We were very lucky to have seen it live. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm just pissed we missed the opportunity to get our selfie with Will Ospreay.
Oh, that would have been cool. Yeah, we just slept on it. We
could have gotten it, but we kind of we didn't run to the other side of the ring when we should have,
Yeah,
but
we had a lot of fun 2 nights.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see him at a con or something down the road. I'd love to see him at Terrific Con or something,
And if we have time at the top of the show, I pulled some pics that I shared in the private chat.
Oh, okay. Should we look at those now, you think? Or?
We can get it now, too, if you want to flip through them real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't see that our guest is here yet, so.
Oh, perfect.
I'm very happy that we have our third guest on tonight, because we weren't sure about that, but he's a big wrestling guy who has a wrestling comic book, so it'll be cool to talk wrestling with him later on.
Yeah. This is an unofficial wrestling themed episode. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But as we always say, though, wrestling and comics go
hand in hand.
Yeah,
exactly. They really do.
So yeah, let's
introduce that first one. So I've only once before in my life have I ever brought a sign to a show. So this time around, I wanted to bring some signs. And these are the ones I had made up. Big shout out to Print etc. in Acton, Massachusetts, for printing these up for me. They do an awesome job. We have so the one that's in the upper right hand corner that says "Give Max subscribers commercial free AEW" was yanked for me at the door,
just like mine was.
Yeah, it's right. So they said that no signs with a political agenda. So that's why that one was taken, but all the rest made it through. The
Yeah.
first one can actually tie back to C2E2. And damn if I don't actually have a photo of the book. Maybe I do. Hang on. But a kid came up to I say kid, this guy, a comic writer, came up to my booth in Chicago, and he actually put together and made this like this AEW Origins comic book as a pitch to put into the hands of Tony Khan. Yeah, actually, I do have a photo. So that's the interior of the book right there.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So he kind of now, mind you, there already is an AEW comic book through DC that's a partnership through Warner Brothers. It's all right, but Todd Black, the writer of this provisioned comic book, the other one, the Origins one, he even said that, he pointed out a few things like this isn't accurate, this is a little inaccurate. So to that point, I said, well, hey, give me a copy of the book. I'll try to bring it to Dynamite.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want the book to get ruined and I didn't want to get pulled from me the way my sign was, I had an idea for the backup and do that sign instead, just shamelessly plugging myself, Keith and Todd to be writers for an AEW comic book, which Keith and I actually pitched on the way into the show. What would your version of it be like?
Yeah, right. Yeah. We were talking about different ideas of what we would do with an AEW comic or a wrestling comic in general.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
Yeah, and it was kind of inspiring creativity. And if we flip through this woman,
this woman had
this really awesome sign. She is a very big Will Ospreay fan. So she was front row, right ahead of us. She's actually an indie wrestler herself. And she just, even down to the minute as we got to our seats and, Dynamite was moments away from going live, she was still coloring this awesome, awesome poster. And I hope that, and I don't know, we never followed up, but I hope she got it signed by Ospreay.
Oh,
I hope so too.
Real awesome piece of artwork.
We never saw her the next night, so I don't know,
we did.
But let me see what else you got here. 26. Oh, yeah.
There's Nick Wayne. So that was, Nick Wayne was that first night. And now Nick Wayne is a very aerodynamic.
The audio? No.
I don't know if there's audio on this one or not. There could be.
Okay.
So, that's how close we were, just to kind of give you a perspective in that regard.
Yeah. I think there is audio. I could probably hang on. Let me share it and.
So it wasn't quite Lucky Pro.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty good time in that regard.
Yeah. It's Johnny with the.
There I am with the sign. Yeah. If you actually.
It was on camera a couple of times. I haven't watched the. I just stopped watching Dynamite right before the Will Ospreay match, but I could see it a couple times during this Hurt Syndicate when they were live. So
we did a pretty good job of getting some signage up there. Takeshita, that was the beginning of one of the very best matches. I highly encourage, if you have a Max subscription, go on to Max, watch this past Wednesday's Dynamite just for that match alone. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, watch this match. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Were you guys visible in the matches? In the crowd?
If you're looking, you could find us. You could see us.
Is this a flip, Johnny? Did you?
Yes, this is one of the flips that Will Ospreay
this is
did.
incredible. You gotta, even if you're not a wrestling fan, this move, the way Will Ospreay, they call him the aerial assassin, and you'll see why right
He's
here.
very aerodynamic.
How fast he is.
We got double speed going there.
But watch this. It's amazing. What the fuck?
Insane.
Guy is insane.
Absolutely
dude.
insane.
We got to witness that.
That guy did that on a Wednesday night for free, free viewing audience on TV.
It's craziness.
Yeah.
Does he have any gymnastics in his background or something?
He must.
He might.
It's pretty. Or diving,
more Ospreay to catch.
Yeah.
And
that's how close we were to Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland was right behind us.
That's a
He
great
just-
pitch. I didn't
Yep.
picture. I didn't see you
And,
take this one.
Yeah, he snuck
What's
right
going
in.
on in front of you, Johnny? What's going on with
So
this
this guy is a
haircut
cosplayer who's cosplaying as Don Callis, a very
see the
But
body.
he
hated
also
heel.
was
Oh.
part of the wrestlers on the next night. There was a team called the Frat Boys, and he was one of the kids that got hazed by them. So he
Yes,
somehow
was.
he has some connection to some of the wrestlers here, and that's why he had such a good seat. And but let me play this and see if it has any audio.
Oh yeah, some of these pics are just like it's
Just
the
the
motion
moving pictures.
Yeah, it's the moving picture from my phone taking that.
That was
shot.
so good. And I need to rewatch this match because all that me and you were doing was watching what was going on with Swerve in the corner here.
So right
So we didn't
behind
even see
us,
the
the
rest
young
of
bucks were like writhing on the ground. So
Yeah.
there was a lot
God.
going on during that match. I mean, even if you look in the
It's so
background, you
crazy.
could see
You can see,
Powerhouse Hobbs and
Powerhouse.
Willow. Yeah,
over
like there's a
here.
lot going on in that last match. So it's worth it to rewatch
And
even
that-
after going to the show.
I bet that match ranked pretty high. Did you look that one up, Johnny?
you know,
bet
I
that
didn't
was
look
a
at the ratings
7.
for that, but I wouldn't be
7 or 8.
surprised. Yeah,
it has to
I wouldn't be
be.
surprised.
And look at
And there we
that.
are,
Look
ringside.
at
There
that.
you are.
There's the sign.
You know, so Keith, so, and I don't blame Keith in this regard. He's like, you know, that sign, it's tough. It's a lot of work. And, you know, there's very little payoff in the end. And so he was done with the sign. He was going to toss it out. He's go, wait a minute. Let's at least get this photo
Yeah.
before we toss it out. That way we can have a little piece
That was the
of,
right call because this picture is awesome.
yeah, it's a great photo.
Yeah.
Came out great. Now we'll have to Photoshop Harry in there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, we'll put Harry in. Actually, no, we'll put Harry on that security guard over there in the background.
Yeah.
All right, and then this. This
there's
was-
the truck.
Oh, I forgot we snapped this outside of the show.
Yep.
That was cool. And then let's see, 11. Oh, is this our elite pictures?
Yeah,
Nice.
so we had a VIP experience where we got to meet some wrestlers, and here we got a chance to meet Brian Keith. He's part of Chris Jericho's Learning Tree, and he's actually really a bounty hunter in real life. So I found that kind of
cool.
fascinating. You know, it's
He's
like
actually a really nice guy. I
super
liked him
nice guy.
so much after
Yeah.
this. And then let me see what else we got here.
you know,
Oops.
just listening to him talk, it made me think about, I was like, okay, so like I'm an indie comic creator, but I also work in telematics, right? I have a day job. It's like he's a bounty hunter, but he's also a professional wrestler. Then you think about Britt Baker. She's a dentist, but she wrestles. It's like just kind of reminded me of it, like what if you're into the indie scene of anything, there's always sometimes another job that kind of helps support things.
Oh yeah. And these guys were local wrestlers, right, Johnny?
Yeah, so this is Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. They're the Kingdom, and they're local guys. They run a local school, but they did get their start here in this area.
Yeah, so they were part of the VIP experience.
Real nice guys. Yep.
And this was my favorite photo probably from the night.
So they let us take photos with belts here.
Yeah.
And for this, the belt that I have is the World Championship belt that Swerve Strickland won off of Samoa Joe.
Nice.
And these two are the original tag belts that Brian and Keith are holding.
Yeah, we look like a trios champion.
A little bit, yeah. Or a good faction, a good indie comics faction.
It's great.
And but you guys also had your own individualized photos that you could take with the with the belts. Which unfortunately I didn't have access to those, but I'll once I get those, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, I will upload all mine to the folder, and maybe one of these times we can look at it. This was an amazing picture too.
So I had my mom send this photo to my dad.
Look at me right sneaking in there.
I know, like
And Brian in the background doing a little
Brian
drop
right
there.
too.
So I had my mom send this photo to my dad in the hospital, and he didn't recognize AR Fox, but he goes, "Oh, that's Mark Briscoe. He's a legend."
Yeah, but he's coming
is.
up right there. So good.
Yeah, he is a legend.
And AR Fox is so good too.
He's amazing.
just-
Out of Connecticut.
yeah,
he's amazing.
Great wrestler. When he puts on when he gets in there, he does put a show on, which is great. Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see what else you got here. I think Tim Jones is going to be a no-show tonight. I don't see him in the green room.
Oh, that's no good. Well, we can always fill the time. We had a bunch of conventions.
That one's going out to Harry right there.
No, you know what? That one's
Yeah,
going
number-
out to Christian Max Peralta right there.
Yeah, right.
There you go, Christian. There's your WrestleMania Night 2 main event.
Yeah, right.
You know what's funny? Actually,
so
so
this-
night one, real quick while we're on Moxley, right? And we were also discussing in the car, like, because you being a new fan, like you were understanding the internet discourse with AEW fans and WWE fans, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about how it's very comparatively like how DC for a while was kind of very reactive to whatever Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're kind of in that same era where WWE is reacting to the success of AEW. They just recently purchased a luchador company, Triple A out of Mexico, which was one of the older things. Last night, they Seth Rollins Saturday night, Seth Rollins name dropped Jon Moxley.
Oh, really?
Because Moxley was formerly in WWE as Dean Ambrose. And when he switched over, because back in the day they want to brand, they want to keep that character name, right?
Yeah.
Now they kind of pushed away from that a little bit, but here in the ring, they're now referencing AEW's world champion on their WrestleMania Night 1.
Wow.
Right? There you go.
And there was a sign too at the event. Like, what was that one sign that was like, someone's afraid of Tony Khan? What was the big guy?
Oh, Eric Bischoff, because this Wednesday Dynamite that we went to also marked the time that AEW surpassed the length and the life of WCW Nitro from back in the day.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love Moxley. Harry,
him.
this is the big heel of the AEW. This
guy right
guy's
here?
And
this
world
guy's
champion.
the top.
He's
the
a
top
brawler.
dog.
Mhm.
He snuck past me on the way in to the ring.
Yeah, he used
on the
used
right.
Johnny's shoulder to jump over the
Oh wow.
the thing to get the gate to get inside the ring and stuff.
Mhm.
He
It was
flew
fantastic.
past me so quick. I
Johnny
couldn't
didn't
believe it.
realize it until
Yeah, I was like, what just happened?
And this is Takeshita.
Takeshita.
fighting
So
the-
after having a
Stone
banger of a
Pitbull.
match the night before, he then had to fight Ishii, and they were just trading hits.
I like Ishii. I like his nickname, the Stone Pitbull,
Because he looks like a pit bull, and
he
has no
does.
neck.
It's a great nickname. Yeah, it's a great name. Love it. That was a good match too, though.
It was a good match.
I mean, I don't think we saw a dud that night, except for except the obvious squash matches.
Right.
But everything that was everything we saw was pretty solid.
Yep.
Oh, and this is
So
Megan Bain.
what do wrestling historians consider to be the 10 match? Is it Dragon?
I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a match out there that's listed as that.
Yeah, Ricky the
somewhere, like
Dragon.
a
It's gotta be
10.
Ricky the Dragon and Savage. It's gotta be
What is
as-
the greatest match of all
of
time?
all time. It's gotta be.
Yeah, that
one.
was one.
Yeah,
That one's gonna be in the history books for sure.
Oh, who's this?
Now, this
Who's
is like-
poor lady.
This lady's Megan Bain. She's new to AEW, but she came so far so quickly. Like she's like already like one of the contenders. And
If you look, this is a great callback to, you were saying the adjacent wrestling to comic books, right? Well, look at her costume.
I know it's
Look at the way
amazing.
she straight up looks like a Valkyrie.
She does.
You know what I mean? And or like a goddess. Something that would have something that could have came from Themyscira.
And I love the fact that whenever she fights, she's always fighting. She's fighting two women every time.
Always.
I
yeah.
friggin' love it. It's so good.
It's just their way of putting her over to look like this beast of a woman.
Yeah, definitely. And then here's a shot of Chris Statlander and Tony
Storm,
Storm.
timeless Tony Storm. Yep.
who is the current women's champion. This was a moment they had right after the match, which she stood up at the ring and just kind of like oogled and awed her, right?
Yeah, and then she fell backwards into
Yeah.
Luther's arms. I didn't get that full drop there, unfortunately. But the next clip is pretty fun.
Oh yeah. All right, let's get some sound on this one.
So Luther here is carrying her out.
Yeah, Tony! You're gorgeous!
That was great.
She really is.
I have more of that too. I have when she says something back to you, doesn't she? At that
Yeah,
point,
I couldn't really hear.
I have the other side of this clip. I wish.
Oh,
I
nice
wish I had-
clip.
yeah,
I
she
can hear
says "I know" or something like that, which is so good.
She gave me the Han Solo I know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get beaten up by Juice Robinson.
Yeah, right.
That's her boyfriend. Or husband.
And then let me see. We got 6 more here. Yeah, this was one
the
of my
puppet.
favorite pictures of the night that we took.
So everybody loves this puppet. This is a
Oh my
puppet
God.
of Mercedes Monet, who was also known as Sasha Banks. This was one of Mercedes's ideas when learning that Harley Cameron, the woman holding the puppet, is actually good at ventriloquism. So this is one of those funny things where they took an actual natural skill set and they worked it into a wrestling gimmick. And everybody loves this Mercedes. It's like mini Monet
Yeah, like
is
we were
what
in
they call her.
the VIP room with a bunch of fans, and this one kid literally asked everybody that came in if the puppet was going to be on the show tonight. Like he was just all he wanted to see was this puppet. Like
And
it was
sure
crazy.
enough, we're lucky enough to get the puppet.
Yeah, I can't believe we got this picture, which it came out so good.
Yeah, it was just a matter of asking for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the one like now that I see it up closer, she's actually looking at your camera, which is cool. Which when I was looking at it earlier, I thought she was looking out at someone else or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I caught it at a good angle.
And this is
So-
a guy from Lucky Pro Wrestling.
Yep. So this guy is Bayside. We've seen him at Lucky Pro. He just happened to be close to ringside with us at AEW. And Keith looks over and goes, "Oh, is that Bayside from Lucky Pro?" And sure enough, it was. And when I asked for a photo, he was kind of taken aback because he didn't understand or realize that we recognized him until I said, "What's up, Bayside?"
Yeah.
And the reason why he's called Bayside is that his singlet that he wears is Saved by the Bell themed.
Yeah. I love it. Does this one move too? Is it like
Yeah, there
Oh,
we go.
nice.
Just a little video photo. All my
He was-
photos
he
take
was-
video clips just in case.
he was great, man.
Yeah.
Enjoyed him.
He's a real cool guy. Yeah.
Oh, and
Oh.
then this was great right at the end of the 2 nights.
So these guys fought the Hurt Syndicate
Gates
on
of
Wednesday night.
Agony, right?
Gates of Agony. And my sign said, "Because they hurt people." So this guy in character, when he was like ringside, got in my face and said, "We hurt people too." And legitimately, like I could like feel his like intensity, like just like vibrate through my bones. I was like slightly scared stiff. And then I saw the opportunity as he was walking by the next night. I was like, "Hey man, you spooked the shit out of me last night." And he laughed about it and he obliged to a photo.
He was so
You made
nice.
me
though.
cry.
He-
so nice, so
Yeah.
nice. And yeah. It's almost like he was so appreciative that I kind of gave him that feedback or just let him know, like, "Man, you were great in that regard," you know?
Sir,
And,
you made me
like,
crap my bones out last night.
Yeah. Well, like you wouldn't have believed it was the same guy. Basically, that's how different, polar opposite he was. And I love
exactly.
I love this picture of all of us. Even
He looks
Brian,
pretty
right there, is
docile. I
great.
mean,
So good, man. That one was great. And then let me see. We got a couple more here. I don't even know what. Oh, this is the new guy that made his debut, right?
Oh, yeah. This was
Josh Lucas, the Living
Josh
Weapon.
Alexander, I think.
Josh Alexander. That's what it was.
The living weapon is what they call him.
Yeah.
And
And,
he was fighting Hangman.
And that was a good match too. That was actually a really good one. And let me see. 25. Oh, that's another picture of us with the sign.
Yep.
And let's see what 26. Oh, and another.
That was Nick Wayne winning.
Oh, this is when he won, right?
Yeah, he won.
Spoiler
the
alert
Ring
if
of
you
Honor.
haven't watched last week's matches yet.
Yeah, great photo though, because it's got Commander there on the mat, so it shows his loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a great photo actually.
And there's one more photo I just added, Keith. If you want to go back to the photo and go back in again, it has nothing to do with AEW, but it has something to do with the person who just came into the chat.
Okay.
So maybe if you refresh the page, you'll see it.
Okay, let me see.
It's
Will
the
be at
puppet.
bottom?
Oh wait,
It's the puppet. The puppet's here. Okay, it's that illustrated photo right there. Boom.
All right.
So Dwayne, guest on our show a couple weeks ago, for his campaign. Dwayne Doherty, that is.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
for his
remember him.
campaign, for backing his campaign, he did some fan art for
Oh, wow.
Surrounded
Did
by
that for
Death.
you?
Yeah, and I wanted to share that here. It came out so good.
I do. I like that, man. Came out
Yeah. So
awesome.
Dwayne did that for me.
That is so good. And you I didn't know you backed this campaign. That's awesome.
I did. Yeah, it was
He's
really
coming
cool.
back,
Very psychedelic. He was coming back in October, I think, for his next one.
Yeah, he messaged me to get on the schedule. I think it might have been August. And he's coming back on the show.
Looking forward to having him back, and big congratulations on his campaign.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
pretty cool logo or graphic that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to sneak it into one of the next upcoming printings of Surrounded by Death.
That would make an awesome T-shirt too, as well. I mean,
I didn't really think of that, but that's a great
Dude.
idea.
Yeah,
If he's okay with it.
You can make a nice sticker of that too, though.
Yeah, as long as Dwayne's okay with it, I'd be down to do all of that.
Or decal for your car. Or something.
Yeah,
right.
car decal would be cool because it'd be one of those like the ones that you
One
stick
color.
on and then you have
Yeah,
to
right.
peel out. Yeah,
Yep.
it's like a laser cut or
absolutely.
whatever.
Dude, that would be great. But yeah, no, it was to get back to the AEW stuff. So much fun, dude.
Yeah, real
I
great.
can't thank you enough for.
Don't worry about it.
bringing
Thank
me
you for taking
along,
the
man.
tickets.
It's just like it's such a different experience than watching it on TV. Like to hear, because like when you get the commentary when you watch on TV, but what you don't get is like everything happening around you. Sounds.
You get sensory overload. It's like so many things.
And you get to hear stuff the wrestlers are saying that you don't get to hear on the home viewing, which is awesome. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah,
because that Nick Wayne fight, even if you watch it at home, you did not see all the stuff of him fighting with our section of the audience the entire time.
Our section of the audience was particularly unkind to Nick Wayne and the beauty of his mom. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. And he was just so mad. He was so mad.
He was very mad about that.
Yeah.
She's very pretty.
Yeah. Right. And but yeah, so I think the next guest is scheduled to come at 9:50 since Tim didn't show. I don't know what happened. As I was leaving Wicked the other day, I said, I'll see you Monday night. He said, yes, see you Monday.
You know what? Tim is so famous that it's very easy for him to have forgotten about us because we're just the small guy.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess we should pump him up since he's not here and just mention that he does have a comic strip called Sour Grapes. He's been on the show before. And the comic strip Sour Grapes, it's in, I forget how many, like 50 or around that number of newspapers around the country.
45 or something. It was 40 in the 40s. Well, last time, like
in the 40s.
I think it was on like 9 months ago, and at that point he was saying in the mid 40s, so 44, 45.
Trying to get it in more, so he might be up to 50 by now. But the other cool thing that happened to him recently, and I think that what he was going to talk about on the show, was he had a soda that was Unlike mine, which I do like I just do a custom label and sell it at shows. He actually had them license out his characters for a soda that he actually gets paid money for. And I think it's the company's called Yacht Club or something, right?
Yeah, Yacht Club. Yep, Yacht Club.
You've heard of that? Okay, yeah.
Well, I have it written down as part of my preparation for tonight.
I've written down there about Tim
Operation
Jones.
H. Back in
What info do you have about Tim Jones there?
let's see. He approached the Yacht Club, which is in Rhode Island. It's a Rhode Island staple that has been around for 110 years. The Yacht Club has, and the flavor is a sour grape flavor, and the ingredients are carbonated water, cane sugar, natural grape, and lemon flavor, citric acid, sodium benzoate, and yellow. Yeah, so whatever, other food colorings and whatnot.
Yeah, we both tried it. Me and Johnny. I liked it. I thought it was very good.
I like it because it's not like super sweet. It's not too sugary.
Yeah.
And it's a good mixer.
Is it soury kind of? Like
it's a little bit. So you know what? It tastes a little bit like sour apple, but it's not sour apple. It's totally like a sour grape flavor.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like if you take like sour apple, but you apply that like old school grape popsicle flavor, like that's the perfect way to describe that sour grape soda.
Yeah, they have. I've never tried these guys, but I did like the sour grape soda. I thought it was really good. So
that's definitely a flavor I would like. I like the lemony aspect to it, like soury thing. So
yeah, no, like it's that one. Cool. And it's not too, like Johnny was saying, it's not too sour. You know what I mean? So,
and I think on this bottle on the label, there's a little like thing you can scan to go that takes you to the comic book.
Yeah, I heard him say that. He was literally right next to me at Wicked Comic-Con this weekend, and so I got to talk to him a little bit, but it was pretty busy there.
I saw him at 3 of the last 4 shows we did.
Did you really?
IC3, Retro Expo, and Wicked.
Oh yeah, that's
the only thing he was missing from was C2E2, which he did last year.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that really quick, Johnny, before our second guest comes. How was C2E2 this year?
C2E2 was a great experience. Financially, it was so. It was all right. Yeah. I sold out of all the copies of Surrounded by Death I had that I brought. Now, mind you, I didn't bring many. I may have had maybe less than 10. Yeah. But they sold, which was good. We were in Artist Alley. I was sharing with Jeff Ryder, great friend of mine. We had a really great end cap, which we thought was going to be a really good thing, but was kind of a so-so thing.
Okay.
And yeah, we networked, did good business, connected with creators. So all around good experience.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And traditionally you go to that show every year now, right?
Yeah, and if there's ever a time I wouldn't get a table, I would definitely go to Just Go. Okay. It's that kind of show. It's that good.
Yeah, I was there, God, back in like 2010. It's gonna be so much different now. Like it was just like kind of on its 3rd or 4th year when I was there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster, right? I've seen the show better than this year, and I've seen it worse than this year. You know what I mean? So to that point, there's never really a Goldilocks of it. And it's actually shifted times too. There's times it's been in August, and then there's times it's been in, the spring, and some of that was because of COVID, but it was actually, it was one of the last conventions, one of the last major conventions of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No kidding. I think I have this one memory from when I was there. It had to have been, what year did the Dark Knight come out? Do you remember? Was that like 2000?
2012. It was the same year as Avengers.
So it was probably 2012 was when I was the last there, because I remember.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 2008. Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012.
Okay, so it was 2008.
2008 was Dark Knight.
Even earlier than I thought.
Yeah.
And we were able to like meet Mark Millar like it was nothing, like because no one really knew him.
Yeah.
I remember him specifically. It's where I got my blurb from him for Hero Envy, my Hero Envy graphic novel. Because we used to go around, because this is when I was still with the Hero Envy guys. We would film people and say, "Hey, can you say something about Hero Envy or whatever?" And Mark Millar said something like, "Hey, if you don't watch Hero Envy, you're a fucker," or something like that. So that's
great.
on the back of my Hero Envy graphic novel. It says, if you don't like Hero Envy, and then I just did the, how they do the swears in comics where it's just like at symbols and question marks.
Yeah, censored version of it.
Yeah. So I just did that. But I remember him specifically telling me that he was about to start a comic called Kick-Ass that was about this guy that gets his ass kicked, and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then he bragged about being on the set for Dark Knight. So it was probably like that March before Dark Knight had come out. But he was so cool, man. It was so cool to
Kick-Ass was one of my absolute favorite comic books.
That was a great one.
Oh,
it really is.
Captured me.
And speaking of good, Johnny.
Go on, sorry. I was just gonna say real quick, just a little quick C2E2 story. So I was on an end cap, and at one point I went for a little bit of a walk around when I went to take a bathroom break. You always want to like take your bathroom break, but also like kind of like go do a little bit of a loop around, say hi to people and make stop-ins, that kind of thing. Yeah. And one of the things, I walked by Ryan Otley's table in Artist Alley. And I was kind of looking around, and it's chaos. There's a long line, and he's signing and sketching and signing. And and the woman who's kind of managing things, she's on like a stool, and she's looking over, and she sees me kind of looking. She was like, "Is there anything you're looking for specifically?" And years ago, I think it was 2014, I went to Special Edition, New York Comic Con Special Edition. I bought original art from Invincible at that show. And so just thinking, I was like, hey, is there any original art on this table? And they all laughed at me. And I just really forgot how famous and big Ryan Otley blew up since then, and how long ago that actually was that I bought that original art. So like time caught up with me a little bit. And then when they were like, everybody's laughing, I was like, oh, I bought original art in 2015. And somebody, as I was walking away, I heard somebody go, it's worth a lot more now.
Yeah, it's true, man. People are coming in the store left and right buying those Invincible omnibuses that are like $70 a pop.
So I was reading it way back in the day, and I just forgot, or like I didn't really think about how popular it actually is.
Yeah, it's really popular now too. I guess as we're waiting for our second guest, which is Ray Jamison, he should be here any minute. Let me zip through the chat real quick, since we never said anything to anybody. So of course, we got Amy's Birdhouse with us tonight.
Hey, Amy.
As always. Look at this. We got to see the great Ara
this
weekend.
Oh, it was so good to see Ara this weekend.
It was. Hey, Ara, what's going on? You are awesome, man. Thanks for coming by this weekend.
I hope you drank that 7-Up and it was delicious.
Oh, my God. I saw a couple people walk by my table that had the
sold
7-Up,
out of it.
And I said, hey, how is that? And they were like, oh, this is awesome.
And then who knew that would be my biggest money maker?
What were you selling them? $5 a pop?
$5 a can.
Yeah, man. I need to come
was it regular 7-Up or was it special?
No, it's Shirley Temple
flavor.
Who else we got here? He said what's Indie Comics Relay? What's up? Got Jess in the chat. Hey Jess. Good to see you. Ara said, I recorded some college basketball at SCSU back in the day. We must have mentioned that. Did we mention that earlier?
Yeah, because that's where IC3 was. So in the Louis lunch video, I mentioned we were at SCSU.
Oh, okay. How did I missed that? I'm still half asleep from this past week.
This week killed us.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And let me see. Amy said, plus Johnny was at C2E2 right before. I think that's when we were talking about our crazy week.
Yep.
Jess said, so jealous.
I think that's AEW.
Yeah, because she said Will is a beast in the ring.
He sure is. Jess and I, what we were going to do is if I don't hear back from Sam for Saratoga, we were going to abscond to New Jersey to go see Collision.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When is it? When's the next match? Is it this week or next week?
It would be May 3rd. So
Okay.
next weekend. But I'm
Do it,
supposed to be
dude.
going to...
Do it.
Well, if I don't hear from Sam, I'm definitely going to do that with Jess.
That's
but she'd have to drive
fantastic.
because I don't do long distances like that.
That's awesome. And let's see. Jeremy Courtney. What's up, Jeremy? Said Sweet caught the show live.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Love having you, kid.
Era said love going to wrestling. It's so good. Amy said the Megasis. I love it.
Megasis, Megan Vane.
What's up, fellas? It's right. Is that
That's Dwayne.
That's Dwayne.
Doherty.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you say Ride Disco? Disco? Is that how you say it? Ride Disco? Ride Disco? Does that sound right?
Sure.
Maybe. He can correct me if I'm saying it wrong. It was so fun working on that. So it must be the piece where you showed
Surrounded
Johnny,
by Death
Surrounded
piece,
by
yes.
Death. And then he said, yeah, he's coming back on August. I'll be back soon.
Nice.
And he said, nice. I'm good, man. Use it however you want. It made it for you. Awesome, dude. There you go.
Yeah.
You got your permission.
I think I'm going to do a sticker because it's a real cool design.
Yeah, Amy said, hope Tim is okay. No sour grapes.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know. No,
We're having sour grapes right now because you're not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we got to talk about AEW, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we filled the time.
Ara said Tim Jones is awesome.
Absolutely.
Agreed. He's a great guy. I agree as well. Soda, good stuff from both Tim and Keith. Oh, thanks, Ara. That's great, man. And then we have the Avery, or is this the Yacht Club link if everyone wants to check out the sour grape soda. Ara also said that the 7-Up was great.
Awesome.
Oh, Travis Ogle in the chat.
Hey,
great
Travis.
seeing you boys this weekend. What's up, Travis? Good to see you, man. Jess said, still think we should do it. Jess, I'm agreeing. I think you guys should do it. And she said she will 100% drive. Look at
Don't
that.
threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. And that catches us up, and it's at a good perfect point because I see our second guest in the green room right now.
Yes.
So without
Boom.
further ado, we're moving right on to our second guest. Sorry that Tim Jones could not be here tonight, but if you guys go to our description in the video after this, or if you're watching this tomorrow, there is a link to Tim Jones's website. Go check out Sour Grapes. If you love comic strips and you've loved like the daily newspaper strips, you will like Tim Jones's strip.
Tim's very famous.
And he's, yeah, if you go to any show in the New England area, you'll see him. So hopefully we'll get him on here again down the road. So, all right. But without further ado, we got a new guest that has not been on Indie Comics Relay before. His name is Ray Jamison. He has a campaign for a comic called The Madcaps, and he's here to promote the Kickstarter for issue 2. So without further ado, let's bring in tonight's second guest, Mr. Ray Jamison. Hey, Ray, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ray.
Life is good. Greetings from Winnipeg.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful.
Hey, man.
It was
That's great.
just-
We also have our third guest, which I think is joining us from the UK tonight. So we're all over the place tonight.
We're global. We're global tonight. I like that.
Yeah, we are.
We're international.
Yeah, I love
Different
that.
countries makes it international. That's cool.
Yeah, so now, Ray, did you live there all your life? Have you grown up there?
I lived in Canada all my life. I've lived in Winnipeg since 2010, so it's been 15 years.
Oh, awesome. So I'd love to know, like, since you are in Canada, like growing up, like, what was your inspiration for becoming a comic writer? Was there some awesome comic that you read that like blew your mind that said, I had to be a part of this industry? Anything you can point to?
Well, let's the shortest way I can answer this is because of my older brother, who has about 5 years on me.
Okay.
I've loved comics since before I can remember. And being born in the early mid 80s, I like to call it the Orwellian year of 1984.
My second favorite year.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to grow up in a really cool time. Basically, comic books cartoons and action figure providers combined forces and made kids ask for a lot from their parents for birthdays and Christmas. And I got to see this real boom in that culture of heroes and all the different cool things that came along with it. I saw it was more reruns at that point, being like Masters of the Universe, but I watched like Transformers, I watched G.I. Joe, I saw more obscure stuff, including Silverhawks, Brave Star. I really, really liked.
Oh, wow.
And the list goes on and on and on. I went through the 90s and I saw a resurgence of comic books through the animated series that came out at the time. Spider-Man, the animated series, X-Men, which is now X-Men 97, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, who did Batman, the animated series. And there's so many more in there.
That's so cool.
I liked the really obscure cartoons that nobody really talks about. For example, in the 80s, there was a one season of The Incredible Hulk, but in the 90s, there was an Incredible Hulk animated series that I really, really liked.
Yeah,
the intro, the theme song was so epic.
Both of them, man.
Yeah.
Both of them for their own
so
respective
good.
reasons.
You know how I feel about that.
I was so fortunate to see all of those cool things, and then eventually it seemed like the eventual, once the kids were resurged back into comics had their struggles at that time. Of course, the back half of the 90s for Marvel definitely was not its best of times. The Spider-Man arc Harry started salivating as soon as the Hulk was there. My older brother loves the Hulk.
Harry's got
I'm
a
a huge fan.
He loves the Hulk. Absolutely.
Did Stan Lee narrate that show too? I forget.
In the 80s, yes.
He narrated the 80s one.
Yes.
Actually,
the 80s one he did. I don't know about
he did some of the 90s too, because I know
Did
he
he?
introed it was paired with the Fantastic Four 90s series, and he
season one,
introed
yes.
those.
Yeah, season one, he did both season one of Fantastic Four and Iron Man, and it had such negative acclaim. They overhauled it. The season two of both of those was amazing, but not enough to keep going after that point. But that was the true Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time, because there was a lot of crossovers and stuff. That was the original, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One of the coolest episodes of, I think, Fantastic Four was the showdown with Galactus.
Yes.
Of all the heroes to show up
Ghost
to
Rider.
Save the day, Ghost Rider.
Yes.
Ghost Rider hits Galactus with a fucking pennant stare and whoops his silly ass. And this is a kid's show, and here comes Ghost motherfucking Rider.
Yeah, here's
that's cool.
covered in hellfire chasing.
I never saw that one.
We're gonna go
amazing.
hard.
Yeah, it was
a different time. We raised different kids at that time.
Yeah.
Well, also Ray, just to kind of reflect upon that, and you're talking about the synergy between like cartoons and comics and toys and all that.
Yes.
I point back to the 80s, and I remember walking through like Toys R Us and KB Toys and seeing toys for Alien and Predator and RoboCop and Terminator.
Star Wars.
When you look at that, these are all rated R movies.
Johnny Five.
Rambo.
Right?
Yeah.
Rambo. These are all rated R
Rambo,
movies that they
Terminator,
made these
absolutely.
adjacent animated series and cartoons and things to pull us in. So that Toxic Avenger. So that way, when we became of age, we now had other media. We grew into it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely the gateway drug. All those cool dads that liked those movies. Well, my son can't watch this, but here's an action figure of it. The toy companies knew exactly what they were doing.
Well, they knew all of us were watching it. Like,
yes.
it's just like
definitely was like the golden age of like cartoons and movies and Saturday morning cartoons and all that stuff. Like there's been no decade like that, the 80s.
No, and that's why like 83, 84, all those like those early 80s years are my favorite, because I grew up with all of that.
Another thing, 1984.
I can't get out of it. I'm like still like my mind is still in that early decade. Like I'm there now.
1984, we had the Secret Wars, and that was the first big one with Marvel. During the back half of the 80s, they would just have, here's some Marvel action figures. And it was, I think, solely from Secret Wars, because all of these characters got together. Well, here's Mr. Fantastic, although he has telescoping arms for the toy. and a really skinny neck when you stretch his head out. There he is, stretching.
Yeah, right.
Invisible Woman. Well, clear
So-
plastic. The end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
can
Ray,
see it.
like, so now that your mind was blown by all this awesome, like 80s, comics, cartoons, everything, like, how did you, were you then knew that you wanted to write comics, or did you kind of like,
Well,
did you kind of go in another direction? Like,
there's two
from there?
phases to that. So the first one is, the first phase is I like drawing. I love drawing comics. And
Okay.
my parents, there was a local comic course I took it twice in a row, and it went about all
Oh,
the
nice.
mechanics of penciling, inking, coloring, lettering, covers, making sure all of your panels make sense, and telling a story, and the difference between showing and not, or showing or not showing, and just telling.
What year
And
was this? What grade were you in when this
I
went
would
down?
have been in the 4th grade, so this
Oh,
would have been
wow.
like
Okay.
94,
Oh,
95.
shit. Huh.
So I really appreciate the process. Unfortunately, I couldn't make this passion a profession. So as life went on, I ended up moving across country eventually for work, and I needed excuses. This is the second phase. I need excuses to hang out with my friends via webcam. So I've heard of D&D. I've never played it before. I love fantasy. I loved Lord of the Rings. I loved lots of different cool stuff. Not even just medieval fantasy, but even medieval concepts. Robin Hood, another great example. But I just wanted an example to see my friends. So I had to be the dungeon master. It was my idea. And you guys play D&D at all?
Years ago,
Years ago.
talking about
Never
like
have.
mid 80s for
Gotcha.
me.
So the dungeon
Yeah.
master who has complete control over the reality that's happening, and then the players want to do stuff, and then there's some minor math where you roll dice and compare, and you see if you're successful in
forget
some
it.
scenarios.
I'm not
It's a
good at
lot. No, but that's the thing. You just
Yeah.
roll dice at a specific number. Give me your results. You pass. You fail.
Mhm.
That's the most complicated math you'll ever see in the game. But anyways,
Mhm.
I didn't use any modules. I made all of the lore, all of the cities, all of the history, everything was all under my own like creation. So there was a lot of, as I said in the last podcast, I bit off a lot, but I definitely was able to chew it all over time. A lot of learning curves, but we had all of this world I created. We had a couple of different campaigns in the last 10 to 15 years, and they helped me establish the history and everything else going on along about it. And
I'm sure. Would you say that all that prepared you to be a fantasy writer? I'm
Just
sure
gonna say that's
must
your
have,
proving
right?
ground, right?
right. Well,
Yeah, it must
this
have been-
comic, it's only 3 issues long, and it all takes place over one
Mhm.
night, and it's based off of the very first homebrew campaign. The only difference is I took the players out and I made my own and injected them in. The characters rather I made were actually based off of people I actually know. That was the inspiration I drew from. My current interior artist, Victor Medina, he says he really appreciates the characters because he can't compare them to anything. It's not like this character's like a little bit of this person, but this as well. He says they're just unique. And I think the reason for that is I didn't draw from inspiration of any lore, any stories. I made them off of people. This is how they actually would interact. Mind you, I exaggerated both their strengths and weaknesses, of course. I needed to get this out of my system. That is the best way to put it. It's like a shark that can't swim. Many writers, although I'm not a writer, technically, you could say I'm a writer, but I'm very fresh to the game. The best way to put it is I just had to get this thing off of my chest. Issue number 1, which was successfully funded, didn't make as much as this in 4 weeks, and we got 1 week, 10 days to go almost, and we've already surpassed the
Yeah, I was
first
gonna
one
say you
funded.
killed it, man.
We're doing well, and
Yeah,
I'm
you're
really
doing
happy
well,
about
man.
that. This story is basically, if you look at these 4 guys here, this is the main cover to issue number 2. Every human being, the older you get, the less the less you get to see your friends, and the times you do, even if it's for a fraction of time, your inner child is recharged. And I know every human being can relate to that. This book is an homage to that level of camaraderie. So the start of issue number 1 is about all 4 of them just getting back together.
Okay.
And again, this is like an adult version of Scooby-Doo minus the dog, in a medieval fantasy theme told through the medium of a comic book. So these are all the different variant covers. That cover there, the stained glass one, that is actually metal foil, which is going to amplify that stained glass effect.
Cool.
It costs a bit more, of course, because the manufacturing is a bit more demanding. But every cover, I wanted it to have something to do with what's going on inside of the issue. Like the older 60s and 70s covers, it felt like, oh, this happens in the comic. And sometimes it would be something, it would actually say, why is Spider-Man helping Doc Ock break out of or rob this bank? Open the pages to find out. Mine isn't as blatant as that, but it does reflect the story accordingly. So, for example, there's Sarlacc. He's a dwarf. He's holding a book there. That's actually a critical component in this story arc.
I gotcha. Johnny, were you going to ask a question?
Well, no, what I was going to say is that I unfortunately didn't get a chance to read the book or the sample in full that you sent over, but I skimmed through it and kind of looked at the art and kind of looked at some of the vibe of it. And it's funny, we were talking earlier about just the 80s and the inspiration. I feel like this is adjacent visually to something like Dragon's Lair.
Yeah,
right?
I hear
Almost
you.
like it could take place in that same world, even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, I felt
80s.
that was very cool. It was like almost like you could see the product of the time in which you grew up in, and your influences shine through.
Well, it's funny you
Some of
mentioned that. The colorist, which I believe is really reflecting what you're saying there, the main colorist is actually Dan Kemp. Dan Kemp has colored late 90s Marvel Knights, Daredevil, Punisher. He also colored the John Romita Jr. era of Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, cool.
That's right around the Civil War era. But one of his biggest claim to fame's, he's colored over 100 issues of Spawn, basically 50 to 150.
Oh,
So
no
he's,
shit.
he's officially colored McFarlane, Capallo, Chance Wolfe, all of those artists drawing Spawn at that time. He put his colors on them. So when you say it feels like a product of its time, I feel the majority of that is because of that beautiful vibrancy of
I can see that.
Wolverine.
I didn't realize it was
Origins,
Dan
color.
Kemp who did it. Oh, and you
Yeah.
got Micah do your letters. Micah's
Micah Myers,
great.
yeah.
Oh, Phil.
Phil is my
Phil is
publisher.
amazing. I'm right near Phil. I'm right near Phil at New York Comic Con.
Oh, right on, man.
Phil referred me to a artist recently. Real great artist. But Phil's the man. If he's publishing your book, he's in good hands.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Yeah. You guys just gotta understand his sense of humor, though.
We jive just fine, man. I get
Good.
We're all good.
At
man.
first I didn't understand. Like, he kind of took me by surprise, and my good friend George Medina was like, "No, that's just Phil. That's a sense of humor."
No,
Phil
Phil's
is
great.
the man. He's
If,
awesome, the best guy, just so sweet.
Yeah, I just want to give a 2-sentence shout out to Phil Russert. He has a current campaign going on called Papa. The summary, the elevator pitch is imagine Clint Eastwood in the movie Gran Torino. Take that character and put it in Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old man versus the mafia, and there's a twist by the end of issue 1 that I can't say. I've read the script for all 5 issues, and it's dynamite. It's going on right now for the next 19 days. Anybody watching or
What's it
listening
called
right
again?
now, Papa right now on Kickstarter live. Give that one a once over. I guarantee you, by the time you get to the end of issue 1, you will be saying, "Shut up and take my money" for issue 2. I guarantee you that.
Nice.
Okay. And speaking of Nobody, I'm excited that the sequel's coming out this August.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Nobody
I didn't
Who
know
is
that.
it?
Yeah,
That's cool.
I didn't
I
know.
know. Yeah,
It
just
kinda-
heard about it.
The first one got kind of hokey at the end, though.
I liked
I
it
was
though.
for it.
I'm a
I was for
sucker
it.
for those kind of action movies through and through. I just
Keanu
love that
Reeves is in
stuff.
it? Is that
But
a thing?
anyways,
Or
what's up?
is
What'd you say?
Keanu Reeves in this? Or is that just fan fiction?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look at it. Is he listed in the cast?
Let me look at the cast.
What about Doc Brown? Is he in it again?
Yes,
Hopefully.
I hope they
Reeves
bring
is not in
RZA
it.
back. That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is not in it.
Oh, okay.
If
Hopefully
somebody
they have a
just did like
scene that
John Wick
rivals
looking.
that bus scene. That is such a good scene.
That
But
was
anyways,
well choreographed. Yeah.
we're not here to talk about nobody, although I could talk about it for hours. But we're here to talk about Madcaps. So yeah, so you already blew the goal out of the water. That's congrats,
Yes.
man. That means you're probably building your audience off of the first one.
Yeah, by this time last campaign, I didn't have as many backers, and by this time last campaign, I definitely didn't have this much money. And
It's funny, like when we see creators that have had multiple campaigns for, for each issue of their comics, it does start like a tiny pebble, but it keeps rolling, and then eventually it becomes like a boulder,
yes,
And so it's kind of cool that that's happening to you here. Is Madcaps? How many issues are you planning on this, or is it going to be just an ongoing?
just 3 total.
Just
This is
3
my
total.
First time on the creative side of a comic book. And I say this as a joke. I'd be arrogant and foolish to think this is going to be ongoing monthly, and it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. It's up to the reader to decide if I'm a half decent writer or not. The only thing I could control is all the talent that I've taken onto the project. I couldn't influence anything else. And because of that, okay, let's just do 3 issues, short story arc, whole thing takes place over one night, and that's as far as I'm going with it.
That's smart though, because a lot of creators come out of the gate doing their, 30 issue epic and
magnum opus.
Yeah, and it's tough. Like I gotta admit too, like Ray, like my first comic, I just did a 3 issue mini as well, just to get my feet wet, and it took me 5 years to get all 3 issues out. And obviously, I'm much quicker now, but like it is a learning curve that you get
I'm
better
on
with.
3 right now.
Are you? Yeah, you get better with it as you make more.
That first issue, I had everything ready before I even went to fill my publisher now. Okay. I had everything colored. I had it all done. Because I'm not established in the comic industry, I had to make sure I was taken seriously. So I don't want to be like, this is a cool thing, fund it, and I'll get it done. I promise you it's going to look great. I actually wanted to show the covers. I wanted to show the actual panels. I had a trailer ready. I had to have the works. And because it's not my day job, it took time. So that first issue took me 2 years. And the only reason it took 2 years is because I couldn't work on it full time. And by the time it launched, I had everything ready to be like, this is what's happening. It's going to be magic. You're going to love it.
That's smart, because a lot of people launch a campaign and they don't even show like even the cover, It's just like image coming soon. But like I think that hurts people that do a campaign without that stuff. Like
if Jim Lee were to do it, he'd be able to get away with it, obviously.
Yeah, right. An established creator. But like you said, like I don't even launch a campaign unless I have the cover image and at least 3 pages penciled, inked, lettered, and colored.
Yes.
And if I don't have that, I don't launch it. So I like to show people that, I'm committed to it. I've already paid for a couple pages. Here they are. Take a look, It just gives the buyer or the reader more confidence that you're going to finish the book. So I applaud you for doing that. That's
Thanks,
smart,
man. No, I wanted everybody to know I wasn't pulling punches. Because this is my first time, I really, really had to like make sure they knew I was serious. And the only way to do that is they need to see something. Like you said, they have to know that like we're playing for keeps here. This is the real stuff. This isn't like it might get done. I'm kind of interested in doing this project. No. This project's happening. You back it. You're adding to the awesome. I'm not relying on you for this book to be awesome. You're adding to the awesome.
Yeah, that's great. What would you say
when you were getting started with this?
Okay, go ahead, Harry.
Oh, yeah. When you were getting started with these characters, I mean, you had them in your mind already. Did you, since you're an artist as well, did you draw concept art for your artist that eventually drew these, or?
Yes. Yeah. I had concepts, little sketches. I would describe like certain things about them. For example, the big fellow there in color there, his name is Madraka Starr Thule. Yep. He's actually a descendant of a large kaiju-like electric eel that lives out in the oceans. It's referred to as the Great Storm Worm. And so Madrakis, for example, he has this purple sword. There's actually a whole story behind that. The little guy of the group actually made that sword, and there's lots of really cool details involving that thing. But anyways, in regards to what I wanted these characters, I wanted them to feel like, how do I reflect my characters or the real people in life through cool stuff? So this guy, he's larger than life. That reflects the real person's personality, for example. And another thing that I really wanted to do is I wanted to break tropes. So again, going back to Madrakis, he clears 6.5 feet and he's over 350 pounds. Well, one thing I hate about big guys in groups, that this trope of big, therefore dumb, and good for pretty much just meat shields and really big punches every once in a while, breaking down a wall maybe. This guy is actually, his most intimidating thing about him is actually his brain. He is an amateur mage, and he dabbles in the arcane, and he has the potential to be very good because he's very smart. He just hasn't had the opportunity to invest time into his studies. So when you take that into also, he wears armor and has this sword. He's not a skilled fighter. All of that brass armor, that's actually just a reflection of the culture of his people, which he knows very little about. So he
breathes fire too, doesn't he?
Well, you know what? He actually, it's not breath. He actually can store lightning in his gizzard, which he can vomit.
Oh, I love that. I love that you have like an actual scientific explanation for a very fantastical like ability. That's great.
Byproduct. This is a byproduct of being part of that great storm worm, right? And just like how a cobra has venom in its fangs, it only has so much. Madrakis is the same thing. He can't just vomit lightning all of the time. It's not. He would have to build it up accordingly, and then he would have more to use, of course. But
he use his fingers to initiate that, or
I think it would be more like the Dilophosaurus that killed Newman in Jurassic Park.
Oh, right. Oh, speaking of Newman, though, I like how you wrote. I watched you in a different previous podcast. You relate yourself and your other creative team as like Seinfeld, because Seinfeld surrounded himself with other like great comedic actors, and
that's
so,
right.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You should like.
No, that's a great. That's a great like description of what a creator's like when you surround yourself with a great creative team, right? Is that what you're going for with that? Yeah.
Well, I don't have. That was said in Julia's Mark Twain Award. She had Jerry Seinfeld come on, and he said, my show I felt was successful. I regardless of how funny or not fun I am, I wanted to surround myself by talented individuals. And for me, I needed talented people around me to make this thing pop. So there's been like a lot of really cool things that have worked really good, synergizing with my interior artists. In this case, first we have Victor Medina. It was really cool to just say, here's my panel descriptions. I need these things for sure. Those are my creative constraints. You interpret this as you will. And sometimes he brought in like viewpoints or different perspectives that I wouldn't even consider, but I'm like, yes, go with it. This was not how I envisioned this page to go, and I'm okay with that. It's going to be really good.
You got to sometimes
really like that.
Leave your trust with the artist, and it does.
Yeah, it's hard to give up
off.
control sometimes, but in this case, it worked out for the best. And I'm really happy with this experience. That's for sure.
I have a question about the text or the lettering. So when Madrakis speaks, he's got little like dots in his lettering. What does that signify? Like, what is that? Is that stylistic, or like just the way?
Well, there's a couple of different reasons for that. So I remember reading Amazing Spider-Man issue 300 for the first time, and that's when Venom is first
makes
seen,
his first
and he
full
beats
appearance,
up Peter Parker and puts him in the bell and tries to kill him with the bell. And when you see Venom talking, his voice could be anything. He could sound like Bozo the Clown. He could sound like, you don't know. When I watched the 90s cartoon, it sounds like 9 voices speaking at once, which was a really cool thing. Madrakis, when I look back at Amazing Spider-Man 300, I wish I had some way to feel like the voice was different.
Yeah.
And so with you talked about the dots and the lettering, his face, the actual geometry of the anatomy of his mouth and his nose, it's not like an average humanoid. So it makes sense that he may be a little difficult to understand when you first hear him speak. You can develop an ear for it. It's just like if you hear somebody from a country you're not accustomed to an accent. You give it a day, it's fine. I wanted Madrakis to be actually mildly difficult to read the first time you look at it, just for that reason.
Just
Gotcha.
like the aliens in like the first season when they come to Earth, and they have like this weird vibration in their voice.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like
Yeah,
when
that's
I like
right.
when a letterer can like help you sell that, and that's what they do. Usually, and sometimes it's with the balloon itself too. Like
Yes.
they do like little different things, and I love that stuff. But
And
Ray,
Chazgo is another example where I actually inverted the colors because I wanted him to come across as very sinister, even though he's not. I wanted him to be a textbook case of you can't read a book by its cover. So when you see the speech, it's inverted colors, it's white letters on a black background. Like it doesn't feel right. It feels unnatural, and that's
cool.
the kind of effect.
Yeah.
You like Chazgo, yeah?
I like that guy. He's cool. He kind of reminds me of who's a Nightcrawler kind of ish, like that.
I've been told that, or a little bit of Dritstro Erden, if anybody likes a Forgotten Realms in D&D.
Yeah.
But the one thing when you get to know him, for example, he finds churches very pretentious, which is definitely not Nightcrawler. He doesn't have a tail either. Actually, an interesting thing about Chazgo, his people, they're elves. They're referred to as Argers. Argers, a specific group of elves, they live in a mountain range that is predominantly riddled with silver deposits. So in real life, there's humans, when they eat silver, they eat enough of it actually tattoos their skin blue. They look like Papa Smurf, basically.
Oh, neat.
One guy was actually a guest on Oprah once. You can look that up on YouTube. This is what's happened to Chazgo. He's blue skinned because of that. Yeah. And his people actually worship the mountain. They think arcane practice is like an abomination of reality. And one of the cool things being fantasy, of course, because of all this silver running in their system, they actually have mass resistant magic. And in their beliefs, they actually believe worshiping the mountain is what gives them this blessing, but it's actually the physical element of silver that gives them this resistance. They're very, very what you would consider xenophobic. They'd want nothing to do with outsiders, and they're very, very prejudiced in regards to outsider, kill it, take its stuff, move on. They're not a very nice group. Children's bedtime stories, the scary ones, this is the kind of stuff you would put in. An Arger is going to get you and drag you away into the mountains. So mercenaries, mages, anybody that has any type of trade goods and trade routes, they steer clear of those mountains. Chazgo, he felt his people were dysfunctional and he wanted nothing to do with them. But being an Arger, you leave the mountain, you're probably going to be killed on sight. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. So what he ended up doing, he ran into an individual known only as Annette. Chazgo is the narrator for the first issue. The opening words, he's writing a letter to Annette. That's the whole issue, is through his viewpoint. Annette has given him some magic abilities. One of them is he can disguise his appearance. So he hides as this human that's worked his way up as a a representative of the noble in Ivywood. So he dances really close to danger. If his identity was ever compromised, he'd be killed on sight by any guards around him. He has some other really cool abilities. I won't go over all of them, but much like you're saying, Harry, I think he's a well fleshed out character.
Yeah, I love that one cover that was done. That you can see the blue tint to his skin, and the light hits his face, and it's like humanish, and then the other side, like kind of like
for issue 1. Yes, that cool. That was done by Erica Hollis, and that was intended to look like he was turning human as he entered the lit room, and she did a very good job with that.
Oh, very cool cover. Awesome.
In issue 2, one of the variant covers is of Chazgo, where he has his pet. It's the first time you see the pet in this comic series, so I wanted him to be on a cover. MX, it's a 3-eyed albino crow, or raven rather. And page 7, which you can actually see on the Kickstarter, it shows Chasgo looking through the eyes of MX as they're taking in, surveying a compound before they infiltrate it, which is really, really neat. Chasgo's got some really cool stuff to him.
So so Ray, we got to wrap this up because we have our third guest going on here. But no, thank you for bringing this on. This looks great. Everybody out there watching, I posted the link to Madcaps 2 in the chat. And if you're watching this video tomorrow, it's in the description of the video, so check it out. Especially if you love fantasy and D&D elements. Any other social media you want to shout out, Ray, before we bring in the third guest? You
can find me on Facebook as DM Ray. DM is short for Dungeon Master. You can find the Madcaps Facebook page as well. You can also find me on both Instagram and Twixter, as I like to call it, which is it's Raymond the DM. Unfortunately, DM Ray was taken. I will say one last sales pitch. If you go through the Kickstarter campaign right now, there's T-shirts for sale. Some of them have the variant covers from issue number 1. And one of them, there's a picture of Sarlacc holding a beheaded monster. That's drawn by Harv Salteras. You mentioned, Johnny, you mentioned Ghost Rider wiping out Galactus. Harv Salteras, he drew the first year of volume 2 of Ghost Rider, where Dan Ketch took over as the Rider.
That's right.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
He drew that cover with Sarlacc, and Dan Kemp colored it. So that's literally, if you think about it, somebody who's colored a Hellspawn, but it's drawn by somebody who did Marvel's equivalent of a Hellspawn, and they combine their abilities to make this cool image for me. So
I love that. I love the synergy there. Even creatively, just putting those pieces together, that's very cool that you had that kind of thought process.
Those guys have never worked together, and when Harv was finished and he showed it, I showed it to Dan for colorist. He says, "Man, it's gonna hurt how good this is gonna look."
That's awesome.
So check that out. Check that out.
Real quick.
Yes.
I just want to say, I mean, I read the PDF that you sent out, and I love that it's the 4 friends meet up. They go back to their hometown to find this weird what do you call drug that's infecting people, and they're turning into zombies. It's cool. I like it.
And it's
the coloring,
it's unknown if the drug and the zombies are 2 separate things. If they're mutually exclusive, they don't even know if they have any correlation. But issue 2 will dive deeper into that. But I know this is time sensitive. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Ray.
Check out the plush tapestries, aka blankets. They'll look really cool hanging on your walls. There's an artist who painted the cartridge cover of Ninja Gaiden from the NES. He painted Madrakis, which is the variant cover to issue number 1. You can get that as a T-shirt or a plush blanket. A hand-painted work of art. I'm going to stop talking now. Go and check it out.
No.
Yeah, Ray, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you, and good luck. You already blew it out of the water, so hopefully we'll get you some more eyes on the project, and we wish you the best of luck with the mini-series.
Right on, man.
And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for taking the time. Yeah, appreciate
I'll be happy to come on again. This was a great time. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thanks,
Have
Ray.
a great night.
Have a good one, man.
See you later, Ray.
Good night.
That was a good one.
That's a fun project. That's a real.
It
fun
is.
project.
I like all the different creative aspects of it, and you don't see a lot of good fantasy books, so it's good to see that kind of. I love the angle of it.
And it seems like he kind of grew up in our era too, so he's kind of cut from our same cloth of inspirations.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And to keep the theme of wrestling rolling, our third guest is here in the chat. And he looks like he has a great project right up our alley called Starr Slam. And I think
check this out.
All right, so let me get a consensus from you two. His name is spelled GED. So is that Ged?
Or does that mean he got his GED? I'm not sure.
Or he might have just gotten his GED. I don't know. But if you guys were in my shoes and you had to announce him, which way would you go with that name?
I'd go with Ged.
Jed? All right,
I'd go Ged. Like, because that could just be short for Getty. And there's Geddy Lee,
Oh,
right? So
shit.
Oh, right,
yeah.
right.
So
Shit, I'm
that's
going with
not-
Johnny. I'm gonna go with Johnny.
No,
here, yeah.
Alright.
because I'm taking a
Good answer,
wild
good answer.
stab in the dark there. But I'm curious to know now, so we have to bring him in.
All right.
We could
So
just- we
without
could just-
further ado, here's
We
our
can just call him
third ghost.
Mr. Hartland.
This is our third ghost. Ged or Ged? Ged.
It's
Which
Ged.
is it?
It's Jed.
Jed.
It's Ged. Okay, perfect.
Go.
Jed.
I
probably
tried to
should
really
ask
church
you
it up.
on that
I'm
email.
thinking against the grain here, Jed. My apologies.
Don't worry, don't worry. I've had it so many times.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, is there a specific reason it's spelled that way that you know of, or just?
It's just it's short for Gerard.
Okay.
It's always when I've gone to America that I've always found that people have always seemed to struggle with it. I've had Ged, Jet, Garrett, all sorts when I've like tried to explain my name to people. So yeah, don't worry.
It's so
It's a
silly
common
because my
thing.
name seemingly is pretty easy to pronounce. Like Harry, but I get Harry. Yeah, sure, I'm Harry, but it's actually Harry. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the word happy, but you add little legs to the P's.
There you go.
That's how I explain it.
Jed, first of all, and thank you for joining us so late. Because what time is it over where you're at?
It's 3:30 in the morning here.
Oh my
so-
god!
Do you have the same affliction that Hades does, where you don't sleep and you're just up all the time?
No, it's a bit of a wild one today, to be fair, because I was actually in France earlier today, and because
Oh my God.
we're on Easter holidays here,
Yeah.
so I just got a ferry back with my wife and kids that was 4 hours long, and then got back, and then we drove back for 3 hours. So I literally got back at like 20 to 2 in the morning, and I was just like,
Wow.
yeah.
Had I known that our first guest wasn't going to show up, I would have slotted you right in.
Oh, yeah, that was.
It's
I
cool,
saw
don't
that you
worry.
jumped in the green room, and I was like, "Oh, it's just not enough time to interview you properly."
Don't
Given
You're
worry.
only
everything
giving us
you've
like
been
15
through,
minutes.
Given everything you've been through, thank you for taking the time
Thank you.
tonight.
Right.
That's no
Oh, this
worries.
is true. Amy said it's like Job on Arrested Development because everyone calls him Gob. And right?
I don't drive a Segway around my
Yeah,
neighborhood, don't worry.
Or you didn't end up as a Poof Goof of the Year on was it that Presto magazine or the Magic magazine? Was it?
Not yet anyway.
You gotta work your way up to that.
But dude, you're speaking our language with your comic. You're a big wrestling fan, I take it.
I am, yeah. I grew up with it in the like late 80s, 90s and stuff, and it's kind
Nice.
of
You
been,
still
been
watch?
with us ever since. Yeah. But I mean, it's WrestleMania weekend and stuff, so I've been kind of keeping track of all of that, and yeah, it's just been part of my DNA really ever since I was a
awesome.
kid.
Well, me and Johnny were talking even this week because we went to AEW. I think you saw some of that.
Yeah,
earlier in the show. But we were always taught, even on the show, this comes up so many times about how much comics and wrestling go so well together because they're essentially the same kind of stories. It's like good versus evil, and they always battle it out in a ring, or or when superheroes, it's like within a city, but it's the same thing. There's all the lead up to the fights.
Yeah.
Same thing. And is that where you kind of grabbed your inspiration from? Were you like a comic fan as well growing up, or?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a huge comic fan, so he had originals of the first Silver Surfer and things like that. Then his mum forced him to chuck away, which he's regretted ever since. But I kind of grew up with going to the cinema every week with him in the late 80s, 90s, all the way through the 90s. And so the story for this actually originated from, I just gradually grew into screenwriting.
Okay.
And so the script, this was actually a movie script that I did. And it was one of the first ones I did after I graduated from university, and got a lot of really nice feedback to it. but it was always, this is too expensive. You'll never get this made. You know, when I ever pitched it and I mentioned maybe people I had in mind for that, just like, you'll never get anywhere near that. So it just kind of got put on the pile, and it's just, you know, started collecting dust. And then during COVID, I started getting into reading graphic novels because I just had my first child, and I never could get through a book. I was just kind of falling asleep all the time when I was reading a book. So I just started reading more graphic novels because I could get through them quicker. Just found a big pile of them really to plow through. And then after COVID, I was like, maybe I should kind of have a crack at writing one. And it just made sense. This was the one that was like really staring out at me to kind of be like, I could try and adapt.
So you had this originally as like a movie before?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Like
I've heard that story a few times on the show where someone had they started off in television or movies, and they, you know, wrote a script or screenplay, and then realized, like yourself, that the money, it would cost so much to make it, and then they just eventually found comics, which is very cool. Like, and sometimes ends up being the better of the two, you know?
Yeah. And I kept reading more and more that as a writer, you kind of try not to pigeonhole yourself into just chasing one thing, because I'd always been passionate about writing for film and TV. And then I thought, maybe I could just have a crack at writing a comic. And so I did a sample for this. I got some nice feedback from various people, and then saw an advert for ASAP Imagination looking for new content, and reached out to them. And it was Laurie who came back, who's the editor. And she was like, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I just want to keep reading this. So I sent them the full script for the first book, and then got in touch with Hades, and off and away with them really. Then for the last year, really, we've been developing it.
That's awesome. Johnny, I saw you had your hand up. You had a question for Ged? Johnny, is he frozen?
Discovered graphic. Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Anything?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
I wanted to, Ged, I wanted to ask, when you discovered graphic novels, can you talk a little bit more about what you first picked up, when you first started reading, and kind of what like bit you that you kind of started getting into it more? And, you know, maybe did you find any influences in that first stretch there?
There were a couple that really stood out. There was an awesome Wolverine book that bizarrely my dad got me for Christmas, that was done by Brian K. Vaughan. It's called Enemy of the State. I don't know if you guys know that one.
That's great. Is that the one where he's like he's killed and then brought back by the hand, so he's under hand control? Yeah, that one's amazing. Did you ever read that, Johnny? That's a great.
I don't think I have, but I'm familiar with it. I remember when it came out.
Yeah, and like, so basically Wolverine becomes like the problem of all the superheroes because
he's just taking them out left, right, and center. Yeah. And there was just, I felt like every issue of that, I was reading like the omnibus of it, ended on like an awesome final cliffhanger moment. And there was a few things where I was watching it and thinking, man, imagine if they like put this into.
Imagine that was a movie. Yeah.
There's some like, and then I started thinking, I think it was that really started me thinking about, well, I do have some movie scripts, and maybe I could go the other way.
Right.
And then I started reading some other things. I discovered Private Eye, which was another Brian K. Vaughan story.
That's a great one too. I like the way that one was presented in like that horizontal kind of format, which is really neat. Awesome. Like very good look. The art was wild too on that.
It sounds like much like a lot of us, you discovered the writer as opposed to the book itself, right? Then you sought out additional works, right?
And then I found Saga, and I was just like,
Saga's great. Actually, I think that
it's an easy one to fall in love with.
Yeah.
That Wolverine one might not have been Brian K. Vaughan. I think that might have been Mark Millar.
Oh, is it Mark Millar? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it might be Mark Millar if I remember right. But he
Um,
writes so cinematically, anyways, that like
Yeah.
any of his stuff you ever read, it's like, oh, I could see this as a movie, or yeah, he's amazing.
And then Saga, especially as a
Saga's great.
dad.
I gotta get caught up on that. I've only read the first couple of trades, but I like it. It's one of those ones I just fallen behind on.
Yeah.
But
So-
it's good
so good.
stuff.
So when you were a young kid growing up watching wrestling, did you try out any of these moves at school at recess? Because I got in trouble once. With my friends, we actually we created a wrestling move called the baby maker. I don't know why we called it that, but we basically we had a kid. We had like we were kneeling down. And we had one like knee up, and we had the guy back on our knee, and the guy would like basically give him an elbow, and like flip him over. And this kid got actually really hurt doing that, and we got in trouble because at the principal's office, we had detention, but so we got in trouble for. But did you ever try out any moves with your friends back in the day?
They always put They always put at the start of the VHSs, don't try this at home. So I would go to someone else's home, which was the best thing to do. So I'd go to one of my friends' houses and do it. So I think that was fine.
It's like a backyards wrestling kind of thing.
Yeah, we'd just be doing it in our living rooms. And it was just the larger than life. That they felt like superheroes, I guess. Some of them, like the Ultimate Warrior, didn't look human. It was ridiculous how big he was, and
didn't sound human. The stories weren't human.
Yeah,
The stories he shared from the mountaintops or whatever.
And then someone like Bret Hart. You never saw someone wearing a pink or like bright purple top walking down the street. So he just looked, and all of that kind of bled into this story, those kind of like larger than life characters. And
So what is the elevator pitch for Starr Slam? Like, how does it tie into the whole wrestling thing?
So the way I kind of pitch it is that it's something like Galaxy Quest meets the WWE. So it's a bunch of what you class as a golden age of wrestlers. So a group of the larger than life characters that were the big stars back in the late 80s. And they've started to rust now. So they've fallen on hard times in the modern day, struggling to make ends meet, each in their own way, and they're traveling cross country. And then all of a sudden, as they're traveling across country in the middle of nowhere, just an alien ship just smashes into the dirt next to them, and they kind of get pulled into this, basically this extraterrestrial threat against the Earth. And it turns out that they're the only ones that can kind of protect this small town from an alien invasion, and a much bigger threat as a result. And it's just a fun adventure.
I love that.
So I kind of sorry, Gary.
There's belts involved too, championship belts involved too, right?
There might be an alien belt that's kind of the MacGuffin of the story.
I was going to say the campaign was on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
it was successful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So
I love the artwork too.
This was my first ever Kickstarter.
Oh, really? And, congrats that you hit it, man. That's tough.
Thank you.
For first ones are tough.
Yeah, it was quite stressful. So the artist is Huitzi Trujano, who ASAP Imagination put me in touch with. They teamed us up. And I kind of gave them a picture of the type of art I was looking for, and I kind of said that I was looking for something that was that 80s action style. And they put us in touch with Whitsy, who did some sketches, and I just knew from the word go, like, yeah, this is a guy, and he just took the ball and run with it, and he just did an awesome awesome job with it so far. So he's working on the rest of the pages now for the first issue, and we're starting an Indiegogo from tomorrow, just as an extra top up, for support with marketing, for merchandise, and just to hopefully reach some new other interested indie fans, really, of comics.
Yeah, a lot of people have been doing that lately, where they do both, just to try to find either more eyes on the books, or like seeing if there's another audience in other places that might become the home or the hub for the future campaigns and stuff.
But even before Kickstarter opened up the late pledge option, that was your chance to, anybody who missed a Kickstarter could go to Indiegogo and, have that second opportunity.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's always good to cover your bases, because not only do you have individual fan bases that are exclusive to each platform, but you could also have a little bit of crossover too.
Yeah.
And I think you answered this one already, Sheldon Martin. Hey, Sheldon, thanks for joining us. Says, are you the artist for this too? And I think you said that what was the artist's name that you used?
Whitsey Trujano, and we've got his in the campaign. We've got the work that he's done before. He's done loads of great stuff. Really talented guy.
Mm-hmm. I love that you added this to the campaign to really give people the idea and the flavor of what your project is like. This is a nice little formula of what to expect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Really sums it up kind of in those 4 images.
And I like that you use the Cowboys and Aliens graphic novel cover and not the movie poster.
Well,
the comic was better, honestly.
The movie was terrible, but that comic was great.
Yeah, that comic is, and it was the artwork in that as well that I really love.
I forget who did the artwork on that, but it was it was really good. Sure. Good stuff.
The main character, Jack Dallas, the guy with the white shirt there. He kind of reminds me of he kind of reminds me, or I think he's wearing the tank top, the white tank top.
The top, yeah.
He kind of reminds me of how Roddy Piper was drawn in that Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I could see this guy, right? Yeah, I can see that. It does look like him.
Yeah, so he was he's kind of the main star of of this franchise, and he's your Hulk Hogan figure. I kind of saw him as when I was writing him as it was basically Bruce Springsteen meets Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that kind of decked in denim, born in the USA, larger than life.
Yeah,
amazing.
It looks a little like Willem Dafoe too. A little bit.
I can see that.
Yeah, but he's got a massive ego on him. He's not perfect by any stretch. And he comes into conflict like during the story with the black character on the right hand side, who's called the Spartan, who's I kind of saw him as like a Carl Weathers, Sly Stallone kind of figure, whose his story is that he has the look, the star power, but he's never won the title, and that has always been his thing all throughout his career, and it plays into as they kind of they're in their like senior years now, and he's got a lot of resentment, and that plays into their story as well.
Kind of like Bret Hart, actually. Bret Hart was
there's definitely a bit in there. There's definitely a bit of that in there. I
love
Bret
the
doesn't come
logo too.
For me.
The logo is so wrestling too, like it's so 80s wrestling.
It looks like an 80s pay-per-view that never happened.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. That nails it, Johnny. That's perfect. And so this is great, man. I pasted the link to the Indiegogo. If you guys want to, add it to your, what do they call it? Like, add it to your list for when it goes live, and because the Kickstarter is definitely closed, right?
The Kickstarter's closed, and the Indiegogo. If you just search for Starr Slam on Indiegogo, Star with a double R.
I'll after the show, I'll change it in my in the description of my video.
We'll link it so people can get to it for sure.
Yeah, I'll change it to the Indiegogo link so people can go there.
When do you plan to launch?
Tomorrow.
Oh,
wow,
tomorrow.
awesome! So we got
Yeah.
you at the right point, and that's
Perfect.
great.
Yeah,
Perfect. So
The,
tomorrow
launching-
morning when you wake up,
Well,
go
today,
right to
actually.
Indiegogo, back Starr Slam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll change it tonight after we go off the air, and
Yeah.
I'll put it in the description as the proper Indiegogo one. I think I might have the Kickstarter one in there still, so I'll
That's
fix
what went
that
out in the
stuff.
email. So that's how I knew that he had the campaign that
Yeah, and I'm glad you
was
told me about
successful.
it today, Jed. Before we
That's
went
cool.
live, I got to see it. So, but yeah, no, yeah, it looks great, man.
Thank you.
I think like we were talking about how wrestling comics have had this resurgence lately. A lot of them actually, it's funny, like a lot of like we've had guys on the show before that have wrestling comics. Seems like the outer space thing is part of the whole, that's another equation that is
like
part of these wrestling
Jam,
comics.
but Wrestling Jam or
Yeah, like
Slam.
those guys we had on years ago, Johnny, that remember they worked for that video game company. They had that comic, I think it was called
I forget, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
WrestleTopia or something. It was like
WrestleTopia,
about
that's what it was.
this wrestler that gets kidnapped and brought to another planet to fight in this like international or intergalactic league.
But
And then doesn't George have an idea like that too? Like
George
is doing
O'Connor, has Universal Champion, which is in turn also an alien wrestling book. But
yours is more like an invasion coming, and the wrestlers have to stop it. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
I like
that's fun. I
You know
like
what it
that.
kind of reminds me of? Like when they first meet the aliens, like you said, they kind of meet them in a desert, kind of like that's the exact way the Greatest American Hero begins. Like they're traveling in the desert.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Meet the UFO, but end up being nice.
Based on your pitch, I can already envision this is like a Simon Pegg, Nick Frost kind of project.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I'm British, so they're ingrained on me. They're heroes of mine.
Yeah, but I can just see already like Nick Frost and like the singlet, with like the Rick Steiner like headgear, just as a wrestler. Like I could just see it. Like
that would be awesome.
Totally.
Somewhere, somehow, down the line in 10, 15 years, if this somehow got adapted into a film, it would be very nice for like it to come full circle. But that's a long way and wishful thinking, I guess. But it'd be awesome if that somehow happened.
But
you know,
sorry, I was just gonna say, just looking at it, you could see how it could very well be adaptable, because it came from a screenplay concept. You moved it to a comic. You could easily go right back again. So, fingers crossed on that. I'd love to see something materialize where it crosses over media.
Harry, what were you gonna say?
I was trying to go around the room and say which wrestler made the best movie, like after outside of wrestling. Like
I gotta go with Rodney Piper.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. And They Live.
Like They Live is so freaking good. But so John Cena's right up there too. I think he's made some awesome stuff.
It's They Live and No Holds Barred for me.
What did you say, Suburban Commando? Actually, you know what? I'm going to name drop Batista because
I was going to say the same.
He's great in Blade Runner. He's great in that M. Night Shyamalan movie. He's great as Drax.
Notice how no one says The Rock.
Because he's a ruiner.
Well, I like The Rock, but he doesn't do anything different. It's always The Rock, is always the same guy and everything.
He starts WrestleMania storylines that he can't finish. Oh, too soon. Too soon.
No, I think there's been a lot of great wrestlers that have turned
remember Critters,
yeah.
that movie. I think the Undertaker was one of the bounty hunters or whatever. Like
no, that was Suburban Commando. Actually,
I was just gonna say, I think
was that the one? Maybe
it was a very, very young Mark Calloway who later become the Undertaker, and sure enough, he was an extra in that movie. And but you also have to look at there's another little crossover in comics. Kevin Nash was Super Shredder in Ninja Turtles 2.
Oh, Punisher.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He was in Punisher too, wasn't he? Punisher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was in the Russian in the Punisher movie. Yep.
I think when you say about aliens being ingrained on it, I think Suburban Commando might be the far distant, far trigger as well.
Yeah.
My friend always says that like a Hulk Hogan film was always a tried and tested cinema trip for a birthday when we were kids. Like moms and dads just trusted in it. I'll just take them to a Hulk Hogan film; it'll be fine.
Yeah. Right. Sheldon said, "LOL, Undertaker's voice in Suburban Commando. You're a dead man, Ramsey."
That was the big joke, is that
Yeah.
he was this big brute, but when he spoke, he had the voice of a child. It was, you know what it is? That's that riff on Master Blaster in Mad Max, right? Don't hurt him. He has the mind of a child.
Yeah. That's great. So Ged, so is this your very first comic? Like Starr Slam #1 was the very first comic you ever made? Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
How was
man.
the experience, man? I know it's always like different for people when they do their first comic.
to be honest, when I first started, I was like, "Oh, am I going to be like learning a new medium and everything?" But yeah, I felt like I think because I was so used to writing scripts anyway, rather than it translating it from like say a book. I felt comfortable kind of going into it, and then to be honest, Hades and Laurie kind of helped me so much with saying,
nice.
"Oh, you need
They'll
to like
guide
do
you.
your panels this way," and like little nips and tucks without, you know, completely taking over and being like, "You're doing this all wrong." They kind of really helped with kind of guided me, and
that's good.
And I just felt comfortable working with them. They're just so supportive through the whole process, and yeah, it's you know, the scripts are kind of done for all 5 issues, so we're ready to go.
So now you just got to get the funding so you can produce them,
and hopefully, yeah, just build an audience. Really, that's
yeah.
kind of been that. I think the biggest challenge is just trying to hopefully kind of catch fire, you know, with your Instagrams and your Twitters of the world.
It's tough,
and everything.
man. We've been at this game for a long time. It takes years, you know.
Yeah.
Build up something, but you know, like coming on a show like this helps, and you know, and also exposes you to more people, and yeah, just getting out there and putting up posts. I find you know, taking panels that are complete from the book, with the wording, with the lettering and everything, sharing those on Instagram sometimes helps, or even Twitter. It's like kind of spamming, but in a way giving them something too, like here's an image from the book, you know. So it's kind of, you know, kind of adding value instead of just playing.
But this
like,
also allows
book,
you to take your first steps. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
But
one thing.
This is your first steps as a creator. Yeah, I didn't mean to step on you, Keith. I was just going to say, your first steps as a creator, right? So it's like, I'm sure, like, you know, as you develop more and the way you like see things and the process and the experience. And again, you already name dropped Laurie and Hades being a very good guide and light for you. So you're in very good hands as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. We've known Hades and Laurie for a while. So it's, yeah, I think you're in good hands over there. One question I wanted to ask before we start wrapping the interview up is, you were saying that, you know, this was originally like a screenplay. Have you done anything in television or film that prior or now, or?
So I've had screenplays that have, you know, done okay in screenplay competitions, and then I've got
cool.
I've got a horror script that's with a director now that we're trying to seek funding for, and then another one that's got it's a Christmas screenplay that is with a company that's like, we've got like a shopping agreement in place for it, so that's kind of bouncing around at the moment.
Good.
These things all you just have to be patient with them. I've just learned that over the years.
That's the thing, like, you know, you can't get your hopes up. You have to just kind of let things happen, and then if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, you know.
100%.
Exactly.
I mean, how many
100%.
near misses me and Johnny have had over the years, and you know, I had a toy deal once for my comics that flew out the door with COVID, and there was, you know, stuff like that.
I botched working with a movie producer who approached me at San Diego Comic-Con.
Just stuff like that, you know. It's you just gotta go with the flow. I find, you know, do the work, and then hopefully someone notices, and you know, it brings you to another level.
You have a great concept, and you're in good hands. You're off to a great start, my man.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. I think once you have all 5 issues out and you can compile them in a graphic novel, and then there's your proof of concept, you know, and you can just
Hell
start
yeah.
sending it around. So, but yeah, definitely, Ged. Thanks for coming on. Any other? Why we're talking about social media? Do you want to shout anything of your social media out there?
Yeah, I'm I'm on Twitter, so I'm on Hartland G or X as it's called now, and then but mainly on Instagram as well at GHart316. So I'll be posting content on there regularly, and other than that, just probably moaning about my sports teams on X as well. But that's it.
Good place
or
for
wrestling,
or wrestling. Yeah.
have you met any wrestlers, any conventions at all? Any of your heroes growing up, or
not yet. My plan, I think, is probably at some point when they come to the UK is just to like throw copies of Starr Slam over the barriers to them and just hope that they pick them up and carry them away. Or something. That's my foolproof plan.
Didn't Mr. Triple H? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking if you're a Will Ospreay fan.
I am. Yeah,
he's from
gravity.
Is he from UK? Is he?
Yeah.
Well,
United Empire.
With the Bruv stuff, he had to be, right? But
yeah,
what a great wrestler that guy is, man.
Yeah, I love his t-shirts as well. I haven't got one yet, but he wears I don't know if you guys have been familiar, but he wears like a really cool like retro style soccer t-shirt sometimes.
Yes.
As well.
He does. Yeah, I like his style a lot, actually.
Yeah,
he's got one of the best opening entrance songs too. So catchy too.
Didn't the WWE or Triple H sign a contract to start showing doing matches in Europe or whatever? Isn't that a new thing that he's venturing to do? Or
are you talking about the Luchador, the purchase of AAA?
No. I heard he's going into Europe or something. Maybe like having.
They're doing more in Europe, like live Raw and all like
right.
kind of the big shows now. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
It's crazy how big wrestling's gotten again, huh?
Yeah.
So I love when there is a show in Europe because you guys know how to do it in the audience. Like you guys, you do your Cody Rhodes. You guys know, and comes from soccer, right? So you guys really know how to be fans and really like bring the energy at the event. And for us watching at home, it's just so awesome. And I think there's countless times I've looked at the TV screen going, man, I wish I can go to one of those European wrestling shows because damn, that looks like a whole hell of a lot of fun.
There's a really funny video online from it was when WrestleMania was in New Orleans, and it was a night before it happened, and there's a group of UK fans that are on New Orleans, like High Street or whatever
Bourbon Street, probably.
Yeah, and they start singing, and the American fans are trying to chant back, but the UK fans have got just so many songs. It's a really funny like kind of dynamic going on, and the UK fans start doing their dancing and everything to soccer songs. It's just hilarious.
That's awesome. All right, well, Ged, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm sorry kept you up so late for this interview.
That's all right.
Next time we'll try to get you on earlier, maybe like at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. over there instead of 3.
Don't worry.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, we do, man. And we wish
so
you the best of luck with this because we love wrestling. We love comics. So we love to see books like this succeed. So everybody check out Starr Slam #1 on Indiegogo. I will have the link updated in the description if you're watching this tomorrow. Go check it out, especially if you're a wrestling fan like us and comic fan. Support these guys and ASAP Imagination. They are always good to us on the show. And so, all right. Well, thank you, Ged. Now go get some sleep.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Take care,
Maybe
guys.
come back when Two's ready to go. Hit me up a couple months later, early or something. We'd love to have you back.
We'll do an earlier show.
Yeah, we'll try to do an earlier one. Maybe at 8 o'clock or something our time. All right, Ged. Have a great night and get some sleep.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Nice to meet you.
Take care, Jed. Good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you, man. Awesome. Well, he's great, man.
I love his dedication of staying up so late to be on our show to promote to a U.S. audience.
His comic, right?
That's really cool.
He's definitely much more awake than I would be.
Oh my god! I had to go
you have to be working early soon too, don't you?
Yeah,
you have a pretty wild schedule, Harry.
Yeah, but I'll at least get 3 or 4 hours sleep. Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
Oh, fingers crossed. Don't curse yourself now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, we're probably going to wrap up anyways. I mean, I don't have much more to talk about outside of we already talked mostly about the AEW stuff at the beginning of the show. So if you missed the beginning, me and Johnny talked about being at AEW 2 days last week, and we showed some pictures, which are really cool. Sheldon says we should have made him sing one of those songs.
Oh,
Yeah, that would have been great. Maybe
That would have
next
been great.
time-
We should have done.
We'll do that.
that.
Thanks for the suggestion. That's awesome. Anything you gents want to shout out before we end this? We got any upcoming appearances?
I'm not gonna. No, I'm good this
You're
week.
good this week, Johnny.
Yeah.
You're off.
Yeah, actually, so
until-
there's. Well, so yeah, so I'm off this upcoming week, and then the next time we have a show that weekend, I'll have Saratoga. Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne.
But I wanted to just real quick also shout out this other campaign I discovered
get the
today.
Get the
Yeah,
link,
let me
throw
just
it in
shoot the
private
link out
chat.
to you in the private chat.
I'll take a look.
I was scrolling through Blue Sky, and this concept came up. It's called Futility Shapes, a dark sci-fi horror one-shot comic. And it's the Terminator, the Machinist, and Mass Effect collide in this dark as midnight comic about becoming a machine. And there's a little bit of body horror and man transforming into machine. I always found that a fascinating concept. So wanted to give a quick shout out to this project. It's in its last few hours.
Yeah, this looks wild, huh?
Oh, yeah, it looks very cool. So they're just over their goal, but they have 60 hours to go.
This is that kind of terror I was talking about with Superman 3 when the girl gets turned into the robot.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that stuff.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah, the movie's terrible, but like that one scene is like nightmare fuel.
Yeah, she was screaming during that transformation or whatever. She was being sucked into the machine. She was like, that scared me as a kid.
Oh god, no! Everyone remembers that part.
And I'm also a fan of a Japanese film called Tetsuo, the Iron Man.
Yeah,
which is of that concept of man turning into machine. So this very much reminded me of that. I don't really know who Edward Kane is, but started following him on Blue Sky because this concept looked just so cool.
I like the artwork a lot.
Artwork looked great.
It's reminiscent of Martin Simmons from Department of Truth. If you've ever looked at that,
you got artwork. Yeah, actually, I think I read the first volume.
Did you like it, Johnny?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like that book.
It's a wild concept, huh?
You know what? It kind of reminded me of if Hellboy without Hellboy.
Yeah, a little bit. It gets more crazier as it goes too.
Yeah. Or
because
it's X-Files, you know what I mean? X-Files to the nth degree or something. You know what I mean?
X-Files for conspiracy theories.
Right. Which I love conspiracy theories anyway. I think they're all ridiculous, but I love just theorizing them.
Yeah, no, this looks cool. It does look interesting and different. I definitely see the appeal to it, and it has that horror element. That body,
that cover got me right there. So that's why I was in.
Stuff like that. I do find body horror kind of terrifying.
Oh yeah, well, The Fly is one of the scariest movies ever.
Human Centipede.
Human Centipede. Even Color Out of Shape when the mother and the kid get merged. The Nicolas Cage movie.
Color Out of Space. Yep.
Color Out of Space. Yeah, I found that disturbing. You know,
even the llamas. They lived on a llama farm.
Yeah,
first the llamas got merged.
Let me put
and then
this
you saw it
link
happen
in
to the family
chat.
members.
Yeah, exactly. That
man.
was a wild movie. Let me put that in the chat. And there's a new movie coming out with Alison Brie and her husband Dave Franco, and it's an A24 movie, I think. And
together.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be wild too.
Yeah, that might be.
It looks like they're going to be merging together. It looked wild. I couldn't tell what's going on there, but it definitely looks like it has that body horror element, at least what it was showing in the trailer. So
definitely that's a little bit of what the substance was too.
Yes, the substance was definitely body horror too. Love that movie. So yeah, stuff like that
I've seen
bothers
that.
me. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I
It's
guess
not really-
that's
it's
my
not really
horror.
though.
Like,
Well,
Kind of
yeah,
like psychological. I don't know, like grossness. I don't know what
my
you call it.
first exposure to that,
it's
and
horror
fuck-
because it terrifies you. You know. And
Yeah.
sorry, Johnny, didn't mean to step on you there.
I was just say one of my first exposures to that, to body horror. Pardon me. Actually came from cartoons.
really
Like there was 2 cartoons I could point to when I was a kid in the 80s, the early 80s, that did that I was like, oh my God, that fucked with me. One of them was G.I. Joe, when Snow Job was kidnapped by Dr. Mindbender and turned
Okay.
into an orca whale.
I don't remember that.
And you can
That's
see him
wild.
transform into the whale, and he's like slowly losing his humanity, and he's like losing his speech, and I'm like, that's just terrifying.
Oh
to
my
lose
God.
what
Oh my
makes
God, you
you
just gave me an
human.
awesome idea, Johnny.
What's
You
that?
just gave me an awesome idea to do. You just
What's
gave me an
that?
awesome idea to do a story of like a man turning into a manatee. Like a humanity.
They already did it. It was called Tusk.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Tusk. Yeah.
And then another one that was from cartoons was an old cartoon called Inhumanoids.
I remember that one.
And what Inhumanoids were these giant underground dwelling creatures that were very much like Lovecraftian. And one of
Okay.
them was called Decompose. And what he would do is he would grab a person and he would infect them, and then in turn turn them into a giant kaiju underground monster dweller. And then you'd see this poor girl transform into one of these things. And they did it in the context of a cartoon, but to a young
Still
mind,
bothered
body
me,
horror is
yeah.
body horror. And that was my
Yeah,
first
right. Still
experience. to it.
bothers
Yeah.
you.
Did you guys mention the Fly yet? Or that was pretty
Yeah,
gross.
of
Fly,
course,
yeah, The
Yeah.
Fly, for
Fly's one
sure.
of the greatest. Yeah,
Pretty gross. And what else?
absolutely.
Cronenberg was good with doing that shit.
He was
Manimal.
big on a lot of his movies. Have a focus on body horror.
Even Videodrome, where the guy's
Yeah.
hand turns into a gun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
Even that
Shooting
last
flesh
one he
bullets.
did, that Crimes of the Future, had a little bit of that going on too.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was wild. That's a wild one. But anyways,
me-
one thing I wanted to shout out before we leave. What were you going to say, Harry?
No, I was gonna say for me it was Manimal. That one.
Manimal's hilarious.
I
I just
love
wanted to shout out for the campaign that I sent the book off to printer this
Oh,
week.
cool.
So
Oh, nice.
hopefully I'll be getting the proof soon and we'll be able to fulfill it. But I also wanted to just mention this in case people missed this: the trading cards, the sketch cards,
The DC Miller sketch cards.
DC Miller sketch cards, which are going to be randomly inserted into any package. Anybody that orders a physical perk on the campaign, and that is open now until when I start shipping off the books and toys. So you still have a chance
Those
to get
are
in
all
on
awesome.
these.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really cool. I kind of want to keep them, but myself, but I'm gonna end up giving them away to the fans for sure.
That's cool.
I really like them, but I gotta make sure I take good scans of them though.
Yeah,
that way
get
I
good
have-
scans, but also get a commission set for yourself.
I know, right? That might
Why
maybe
not?
that might be a way to go. Let me share that in the chat as well, so if people want to check that out. But yeah, that's all I got, boys.
You know what I discovered this weekend? I was watching more of that Smallville talk podcast called Talkville.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but the guy that played Martian Manhunter in Smallville is Jackie Childs from The Lawyer in Seinfeld. I had no
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
Same guy.
Oh yeah, is it?
Yeah. I was
Oh,
like, oh my God, it's the same guy.
Who
No
told you to use
shit.
the bomb? I didn't tell you to use the bomb.
Right.
oh.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Seinfeld's so good.
Right.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna start wrapping this one up, gentlemen.
All right. Sounds good.
So we're off next week. We're back on our regular schedule. Also, want to note to everybody that join us on May 19th. We're planning our next Writers Roundtable. It's going to be a fun episode. We're starting to line up the guests now. Some are old, some new. We'll probably have about 4 guests on this time. And the questions are going to be more fun, more funny kind of writing questions. We'll have like 5 or 6 of them. And then Johnny is also going to be doing a writing prompt game that night. So in between these guys answering the questions, they're going to have to write like a paragraph based off
Two
the
sentences.
prompt. 2 sentences. Well, almost a paragraph if they want to go for, but Johnny, it's a variation of your sketch off game, kind of.
It's
like,
sketch
more
off
the
for
writer's
writers
version.
in a way.
Yes.
The writer.
And basically, they're all going to have individualized prompts. They're not going to know what it is going into it. But in the end, I'm expecting that all the pieces combined will be cohesive.
That's cool. I can't wait to see how that comes out.
It could be a disaster. It could be awesome.
Johnny,
We'll
are
see how
you
it
gonna dress up as a game show host? You know, wear like a sports
I'll wear a
coat?
spinning bow tie, actually.
Okay, all right.
And that's only usually reserved for pretty girls, but I'll wear it that night.
in honor of Wink Martindale, who we lost.
Who just passed,
I
yeah.
know. Crazy.
Yeah.
91 years old.
How old? 94?
91.
No, 91. That's still a good run.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good run. But yeah, so join us that May 19th. That'll be a fun one. And then we're right back on our schedule now. So we're off next week and then we'll be back. I don't know what day. Probably before or after Haverhill, I think. I can't remember.
Before Haverhill, I believe.
Before Haverhill. Yeah, so we can talk about that going into that show, which is always a fun one. Yep. But anyways, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we appreciate that. Like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And most importantly, read some comics, everybody. All right, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Good night, everybody.
Good night.